that you have to identify when to really harp in on what the details are and when to let the highlights rock.
Yeah. The awareness definitely plays a big part, I think.
It's like fighting games, timing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so that's Blaz was I was there at Capcom Cup this past 111, and Blaz he's like 15.
Yeah.
And
The kid's a monster, man.
his mental composure is like incredible, because like through most of the matches, like I was filming some stuff, and when you're filming like players and you're waiting for pop-offs and stuff, you have to focus on your camera on the player. You can't be watching the game at the same time. That's not professional, right?
Yeah.
So what was interesting about Blaz was, for so many of the moments where he's about to win, that's when you get the camera rolling just in case they do a pop-off. I didn't know if he won or not for most of the matches.
If the players have like little to no emotion on their face.
It's like, so he would stop playing after the KO, and then he'd go and fist bump the player, and I'd be like, wait a minute, did he win or lose?
Right.
And of course it turned out he was winning almost all the time, and I was like, man, this player, like, you have that kind of composure when the person filming you doesn't know if you won or not after the match, and and he's 15 too. Like me, I'm like, someone gets a jump in on me, and I'm just like freaking out. This guy is like at the very highest levels of Capcom Cup. He's 15. Blaz is crazy.
He's nuts.
Yeah, I guess. So you've been doing commentary at a high level for a very long time in Street Fighter, and you've been, I think most commentators of this generation have been there for the Street Fighter 4 kind of more small scale local level commentary. I mean, you might be doing some these days. I don't know if you go to your locals and do commentary nowadays, but
of course.
I mean, it's you're always. There's a huge range of stuff that's going on, and I imagine there's some crazy stories that you must have doing commentary in the local space, but then also at the highest levels. I don't know, do you have any stories that you can share that won't be too incriminating?
This is where I use my voice changer, and then you change it to anonymous. The little FBI
gotta blur your
relocation
face and
program after
everything.
This is going to be needed.
Change your voice, like.
At a local level, I don't think there's anything wild, because like anything goes, right? It's so lax. Like we talked about the differences between doing like a local batch of commentary and then doing like a tier 1 commentary job, right? There's like a vast difference, and a lot of the times these guys are kind of just chill or whatever. They're like, we're just hanging out, we're just talking, just don't do F-bombs all the time or whatever. That's about it. That's all they ask us. But in regards to an actual like big what the F moment, there were I think there's 2 of them that kind of caught me off guard.
Cool.
One of the one that stands out to me is one of the SoCal regionals during Street Fighter V's era. I want to say it was 2000, maybe like 18. I think like the last SoCal regional. I was getting ready to do top 8 with Tasty Steve. And I'll leave his name in here because this is definitely not his fault.
Okay.
So I get there early. I'm prepping. I got my notes. I do my warm-ups, etc. I'm just chilling. I get seated, and I'm like, all right, Tasty Steve should be here any minute now. I give him a heads up, 5-minute warning. Or no, I give him a 30-minute warning. I'm like, yo, we're up soon. Get to the desk, 15-minute warning. And I'm like, hey, man, they did our tech check. 5-minute warning. Where you at, brother? We start. Cameras rolling. We're like, oh shit! Like this is I guess this is it right here. My name is Vicious here with Tasty Steve. As you can see, he's been replaced by a chair. Let's get on with the top 8, and I did the whole thing, right? Or I did I did a good majority of it without him. But we later find out that he got into a car accident. Right, his Uber on the way over got into a car accident. And he couldn't leave because he had to be witness.
Ouch.
That's right. Yeah.
So he couldn't just hop into another Uber. He had to wait there the whole time.
Oh my god.
And it wasn't until like top 3 he showed up, I think.
Okay.
Right.
But that was the scariest moment of my life. But you know what I thought about? I'm like, at the time I was very active in streaming. I'm like, you know what this is? We're going to treat it like a stream. We're going to treat it like a personal stream.
Cool.
As if it's just me talking to the viewers, but I also have to like find the blend of actually commentating, Right.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, as intimidating and as intense as that sounds, commentating a top 8 by yourself, I thought of it from like a silver lining where it's like, oh, I get to control all points of the narrative. And I get to like bring up any parts of the discussion without like having it too ambiguous as to what my partner is going to end up saying in response to something.
Yeah.
Right. So I know how to set myself up for my own dunks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can just throw it off the backboard and slam it home. No big deal.
that's
Jordan
cool.
did it. Kobe did it. I can do it. Right. So that was one of them.
Okay.
That was one of the big, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't know about like another like a funny one, but there was definitely another kind of like scary one that eventually I laughed off, and a lot of people were just like, "What the hell? How did you manage that?"
Oh.
So, Street Fighter V era again, Intel World Open, the setting, Poland, Katowice, right? A gang of us were there internationally. Logan Sama was there, Senkola, Jammers, Tyrant, myself, Ringe, as well as F Word. Okay, there are moments where we like to organize our blocks with the producer to make sure that we're all, synergized, etc. Make sure that we have all flowing blocks that are convenient to everybody and it works well with the pairings, etc. Right? So we get all that done. Let the show rock, 5-day event or 4 days, whatever. We try to plan our days where it's like, okay, we've never been to this country before. We've never been here to the city. Let's kind of take in the digs, let's take in the sights and kind of like have a good time when we know we could be responsible enough to show up to work the next day. So there was a night where I went out with a few colleagues, a few other co-commentators, because we knew we weren't going to be doing the opening shift or even work the next day, and we were preserved for later on, like other days. I was one of the casters, one of the commentators that was preserved for another day. So I went ham. Right?
Okay.
Like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I went, I had a great time, I had a lot of food, had a lot of drinks, I indulged. And I'm not really a big drinker. So I'm very lightweight. So I got back to my hotel room around like 5:30 a.m.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was pretty tired. Let's say I don't remember most of the night. I did have a lot to eat and I had a great time and I was feeling great and I passed out on my bed. I'm like, all right, this is cool. No, I didn't make it to the bed. I made it to the couch. All right, so made it to
Close
the couch.
enough. Yeah.
I get a phone call. Luckily enough, I had to go to the bathroom. So I woke up, I got a phone call. It's like 6 a.m.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, what's up? They're like, hey, by the way, can you make it to the studio? Because so-and-so was supposed to be here at the call time at 6 a.m. because we start at 6:30 and they're not answering. And I'm like, who's the backup for it? I didn't bother checking. I'm like, who's the backup for it? And they're like, it's you. And I'm like,
Damn.
so what do you want me to do, man? So what am I doing? Lay it to me straight. And they're like, they're not answering their phones. They're not answering their text messages. Can you just come to the studio right now? Bro, I kid you not. I immediately was like, woken up abruptly. I changed clothes. I brushed my teeth. I washed my face. I didn't even get to take a shower yet. I'll admit it. It was kind of dirty. I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. Put my clothes on, zoomed over to the studio, and everybody was like kind of panicking. Thank God you made it, etc. We're about to go live in like 15 minutes. No, like it was like 10 minutes. Do a check, get on there. Let's go.
Right.
I literally have like 5 minutes left to get into the studio. So I land there. I get to the desk. I think it was Ringe at the time.
Okay.
I told him because he knew that we were getting into like a bunch of stuff that night before. And I told Ringe, I looked at him. I'm like, brother, you're going to have to carry me because I am running on fumes. Like I have been up since 5:30. And he was like, wait, what? I was like, yes, I have been up since 5:30. I woke up at 6. I took a giant monster to like the dome and I went, okay? Like you're going to have to go. But then, funny enough, I watched that VOD back and I watched it with Ringe. And he was just like, dude, you were on one. Like you didn't sound sleepy. You sounded the most energetic you've ever been.
Oh,
like
man.
you felt like you were at any moment gonna just burst because your like emotions were high. And I'm like, dude, I blanked out during commentary. I was like, I don't even like I called certain things correctly and I felt like I was on like the right pace. I'm like, there's no way I really did that because I was in the back of my mind. I'm like, I want to go to sleep so badly.
Yeah.
I am dead tired. What is actually happening right now? And it was wild. So we definitely reprimanded the other commentator for it. I'm like, hey man, You kind of showed up late.
Yeah.
You're taking the rest of my evening blocks, and I'm gonna go out.
All right, so you didn't have to do
that's
anything else
something
afterwards.
That's never really expressed.
Yeah.
The adrenaline
not
kicking in.
until-
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Dude, dude, I felt like it was that moment in Pulp Fiction, right? It was just the direct adrenaline into the system.
Yeah.
I kid you not. And that was the rest of the week, I think I made sure to never get like any of the morning blocks. I'm like, dude, this is all you. Like, I am not touching this again. I swear there was definitely like another moment that had happened in 6, but it kind of escapes me at the moment. But at that point, like, there are moments where you have to make some audibles and like fill in for people in Street Fighter 6 or like in commentary, and it's just like, you know what, I'll do it. It's fine. If I've done it before, I remembered now. This is my last story.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Promise. At least for this topic.
We love them. So
Yeah.
keep them going.
Last year's Evo.
Very
I was
recent.
No, sorry, 2 Evos ago. My mistake. The very first Evo for Street Fighter 6, right? So that
Evo
was
Vegas.
2023, right?
Yeah. Mm.
So I was still working at Esports Engine at the time as an associate producer. That was also the first time I've ever gotten like the host kind of gig for AT&T when they were doing like around the ballroom type of segments.
Okay.
While at the same time doing commentary, right? So, and then I also had the Jabali first to 10 exhibition thing,
Right.
which was atrocious, and I'll explain why. So, Friday, we did all of our work in the morning, commentated, whatever, at night. My job, though, my actual main job at Esports Engine was, as I said, associate producer. I had to put on a show for a game called Brawl Stars. It's a mobile game. It has a competitive esports scene. And I was the guy to help run that show on Twitch. So literally after work from Evo, I booked it to my hotel room, put up both of my laptops, was on Discord and calling out everything for that show, along with the technical director, the main producer, the talent, and also organizing the players on Discord. So I literally worked a 24-hour shift.
Oh my god!
Going into my first Street Fighter 6 Evo, and it led into like in total, I think 36 hours because I had to do that damn exhibition with Jabali.
Yeah,
and no one will ever know the backstory as to like why I was so like jittery. Because they've seen me like they would see me in the ballroom and I was like everywhere at once and I was just like high off of like energy drinks and like Coke Zeros, a bunch, dude. I was just drinking a lot of sodas. And then the moment where it came down to the exhibition, like the whole stakes were like Jabali and I put up money because he was like, commentators aren't good at the game. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But the caveat was I wasn't allowed to pick a character that was in the demo or like the beta or whatever. And like Ken, Luke, etc. So I couldn't pick any of them. He's like, you have to pick new characters. So I picked DJ. Yeah. So I'm running on no sleep, picking DJ, facing Jabali in a first to 10. And I'm just like, dude, this is going to be atrocious, but I'm still going to try to win. It was the worst display of Street Fighter I've ever had in my life while also having to commentate the next day. It's like, dude, I have to commentate after this, after showing how bad my DJ is. Like, but nobody ever knew that I was running myself and Jabali because Jabali was mad busy that day too. He had a 16-hour day.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever know that I was running on like a 36-hour shift going into that year of Evo.
Oh man!
And people will say like, "That's an option select, brother." I'm like, "Option select these, dude.
Man.
Come on, man. Like that's a long time. Juggling like 4 different jobs on a single like day and a half. Come on, man."
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to ask Jabali about this one next time I see him. I'm gonna ask him what his perspective is.
Please do.
See if he thinks it's an option
and I gave him a
select or
discount.
not. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he's talked about this before. I brought it down from 500 to 250.
Okay.
And then the week after, you know how there's like a local or like, you know, there's a tournament every day of the week kind of thing. I made sure to take $50 and spread it Monday through Friday, at least one local. But like, here's the Matcherino, extra 50 from Jabali's wallet.
Oh, nice. Yeah. For a good cause. Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. I didn't want to keep the money. I want like, if it was 500, I would have been like, sweet, there's 100 now. But
yeah,
I told them at the end of the day, I was like, here's proof that I didn't take your money and spend it on Pokemon cards.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
No, thanks for those stories. It gives a good insight into commentary life. Some of the stuff that you don't see. There's so much. For most people, commentators are just faces and voices on the screen. But of course, there's a process. There's a life going on behind the scenes. All super interesting stuff. So I guess to kind of close off, I know there's a lot of people listening that might be thinking about becoming a commentator in competitive gaming and esports. And of course, we have an expert here. Do you have kind of a quick list of do's and don'ts of commentary that you kind of see some of the newer commentators might be, problems they might be running into, or something that they could be focusing on more? I don't know if this is a question that you need some time to think. I just kind of imposed it on you, but maybe just some that come off the top of your head. Any, just some do's and don'ts.
I've definitely been asked this a handful of times. I think it's narrowed down to quite a few answers. I think there is like a priority towards like my answers, but I'll just give it out one after another.
Sure,
and then I'll harp it on in home with like the main one I think is really important. For one, I think it's really important to find your voice, in a sense that it's okay to watch and listen to how other people commentate, but make sure to kind of take the points in where it's like it could actually apply towards the way you would want to commentate, right? I think there was a big moment on social media where everybody was talking about like, oh, this is like the bootleg Yipes, or this is like a fake Sajam or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's fine that it happens for some of the commentators, but like eventually try to find your own groove, right? Because everybody wants, like the people that listen in want to listen in because of what you have to deliver. Like if they wanted to listen to Yipes, they would have listened to Yipes.
Yeah.
If they wanted to listen to someone else, they would, right? I think it's really important to really just find your own voice. Number two, I think this is something that I feel like is a hill I'm willing to die on. Play the game at a competent level. Play the game to the point where you could understand the nuances of the replays you are watching. And if you can't understand them, go into the lab and figure them out yourself. You have an obligation to do this as a commentator. As a paid professional commentator, you have an obligation to make sure that everything is highlighted in the way that respects the players and the professional integrity of those players and the competitive integrity as well. I think that feels like not too much to ask, but it's also, I've gotten a lot of pushback on it. They're like, well, you don't play the game. And I'm like, I don't stream the game, but I definitely play the game.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You don't have to stream it. You don't have to prove it. Just play the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Very
Just
important.
At least a certain amount of time. I think it's really, really important.
In relation to that, recently I did see Jammers from UK. He got into like a top 8 at his monthly.
Oh yeah, no, Jammers is
right.
is very good at
so
at Street
he's
Fighter,
definitely the living proof, like, the example of play the game on a competent level amongst the top players.
Yeah.
So that not just to prove that you're doing the things right, just that it is for your self-confidence as well as the knowledge and information that you have to use for your career. So,
yeah, definitely. It's interesting because this was kind of there's a Core video I did about commentary, and is something that I notice in the fighting game community. It's something that's more prevalent in the fighting game community, right? Commentators that having to play the game at a certain level to talk about it. Whereas like I think in other esports that might be maybe not as much of a requirement. People can just watch the tapes and commentate as long as they know the rules of the game. And of course, there's also different rules for analyst versus play-by-play and stuff like that. But definitely something that I think in the fighting game community is, and I think there's obviously there are reasons for that, because you need people who can know what's hype and what's not. If you don't understand the game, then how can you even get hype if you don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah, I don't want people to get into the misconception of you don't have to be the top player to be a commentator, right? But just to play in a competent level to understand that what's going on, and actually taking the effort to labbing is also kind of important. Like, sure, you can, like, fighting games, like, unlike what you described with other esports games, is like you can tell by the taste mostly. But it's such a frame data centric game that you do have to kind of
I mean the difficulty of some of the things that happen in fighting games is part of the allure of fighting games, right? So like if you look at Moment 37, I mean, if you've ever tried to parry a super in Third Strike,
in real time,
just
any
like
super.
any super, just like even if you're just trying to parry stuff. Like I remember the first time you learn to parry the fireball, that's your first kind of thing to parry, and then there's the EX fireball, and then like there's a timing to the EX fireball, and then you're like, oh, now here's a super, like, what the hell? Like, how do I? And then, like, I remember the first time, like, being able to parry, like, a Ryu, like a Shinku Hadouken, like, for the first time. And that's a super, gratifying feeling. But then, like, that's like the easy super, because that's, like, a consistent timing to do. There's, like, and then when you're doing, like, Dudley and, like, but all the third strike players, like, that are, like, at the top of their craft, they're, like, parrying everything. And to understand that, is how you can understand something like moment 37 or even moment 38, where you, like, doing an air parry, having the knowledge in that moment to it could have been an EX Tatsu that I had to have multiple parries in my mind, and the wherewithal to punish afterwards. It's that kind of stuff is, I think, what makes it different in fighting games. But but yeah, I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts on do's or don'ts? Were those your
personal question? I do have one, Kevin, before we wrap it up. Do you still have, say, your inner child? Does your inner child still have the drive to maybe one day you'll, I don't know, be in the grand finals of EVO? Like, do you still have that little drive where you could possibly be, a top competitor? I wouldn't say the word again, but, like, one day, kind of thing. Does that ever motivation kind of thing?
I'm totally kidding.
I'm saying it's an ongoing thing,
You're right.
So yeah,
I'm
like,
totally kidding.
does it motivate you, or does it still kind of exist where it motivates your current career? Like, how does it relate? Yeah.
Funny enough, that competitive drive doesn't leave someone like me. Like, there's no way for that will to do my best ever, like, kind of fades out. If anything, it transfers from one objective to another.
Yes.
But the kid in me, I guess, like, the warrior in me tells me, it's like, you know what? You've always wanted to get, like, an EVO at least top 8 medal. You know what? If we can't do that, let's do our best to get on the top 8 stage anyway. And so I've transferred over that kind of, like, those inspirations of being a top player, those type of aspirations to continue on doing what I'm doing, and to always try to, like, not just prove to myself that I can do my best, but also to everybody else that, like, hey, I've grinded for so long that I put in the work ethic. This is the reason why I'm going to keep on pushing to hit these top spots, to hit these tier 1s, to be in a grand final state, because it's something that I've always wanted to do. Like, this is something I set my mind to at a very early phase of getting into the fighting game community. My whole mentality now is top 8 everything. If it's not grand finals, at least top 8 everything. Right? If I couldn't get a medal, best believe I'm going to get on that stage one way or another.
Well,
I think I can relate too, because just like Jeremy said earlier, I think many of us kind of got that motivational drive started from the Moment 37 video. Then that little drive of, I want to be there one day, is also what made me learn the stream tech, made me learn how to, try to understand what a commentator would be when I used to do the Capcom Cup Asia stuff. And
Right.
it's the reason still to this day why I would boot up Street Fighter.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
definitely.
That's I mean, even as a content creator, I mean, if you're doing anything in the fighting game space,
Yes.
you gotta be playing the games and keep yourself fresh. To a level, getting into top 8 at EVO in the game. That's that kind of goal requires a special kind of dedication, of course. And it's like Jeremy said, it's sometimes when you're doing other things and you're focusing on other parts of the FGC, which there are many roles you can do.
Plenty of aspects.
It's about transferring that and making it into top 8 in a different way. That's actually, I really like that. I'm going to steal that from you.
It's free to take, brother. It's all yours, man.
I mean, that's how I used to press the 1s and 2s on streams, man. I streamed some of the memorable grand finals back in the day, and that's how I got there. So
everyone's stealing each other's tech anyways. Go ahead.
One thing to add on to is like, at the base of it all, I wouldn't have had that competitive drive without meeting the community in the first place, right? Like,
Yes.
being able to be in the room with like-minded individuals that continuously push you, like I don't think I've ever would have adopted the competitive spirit without cats like that, right? And you talk about like the content creation space, like and how hyper competitive it is, but it's kind of a cool thing to see other people pursue this type of lifestyle to kind of like figure out new ways of delivering the content. Then it's like, oh damn, I didn't even know it could be expressed this way. So it's really cool that we kind of lift each other up, and in this space it's all we can really ask for, right? I think genuinely, not to sound too sappy, but like life's too short to like bring our own communities down. You know what I'm saying? Like we all got brought into this because of the love of the game, and also like being around the same people that love the game like accentuates that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
So I really do have to thank like guys like yourselves for being really, really true to the FGC and to the FGC that I grew up with. Right. I think they've done a great job of paving the way for where we're at now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, do you have any socials, or is there a place that people can find you online that you prefer them?
Yeah, surely. I'm mostly found on like Twitter, mostly on Instagram. It's either like reposting events, talking about cards, and also posting food. It's over at Vicious FGC on every platform imaginable.
Nice.
Awesome.
I'm working on streaming, but I really enjoy my time watching VODs and replays, and then talking to friends about it. So
little bit to
streaming's
add.
hard.
Other than online presence, of course, the beauty of fighting games is that we always gonna have our offlines.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. When is your next?
Yes.
What's your next thing? Is it? I think Evo Japan is coming up soon. There's Combo Breaker.
We'll
Are
see
you going
that.
to all those or one of those?
Yeah. So I will definitely be there at Evo Japan. I'll be there for like about 2 weeks, and then immediately after, I'll be going over to Combo Breaker to meet all you fine folks and get some games in for sure. One of the things I do want to kind of mention, could I just drop one thing for one of my locals that I'm trying to support right now? There's a spot over in Garden Grove in Southern California. It's a small card shop that expanded recently, but they've been working with me for about like a year and a half now to get their local scenes. I wanted to say, hey, Sugoi stuff down there in Garden Grove, if you guys have the chance, be sure to check it out. They have a great job. They do a great job of like cultivating their communities right now, and their players are getting stronger by the minute. We would love to see more new heads coming in from like the Southern California scene, kind of like meet up and play some games offline. It's a whole different experience in general. You absolutely should find a chance to find a local, play in one, and continuously support them.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just in LA, and I did have some downtime, and it would have been good to know about this. But yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So thanks for being on this podcast, and good luck on the next tournaments that you're going to be in. I think we might be seeing you at Evo Japan, so
likely so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until then,
I hope so. I hope we can get some some food and drinks together, take a selfie, and that'd be great.
Yeah,
I'd love to see you guys again.
Got to get the highballs. Always.
Yes,
all right.
of course.
All right. Thank you for your time, Vicious. We are signing out.
Peace.
Later.